In the small African village of Ihiala, a woman named Ngozi and her daughter Oma were accused of witchcraft and driven out by the fearful villagers. Convinced they were cursed by evil spirits, the villagers banished them into the dark, ominous forest beyond their homes. Desperate and afraid, Ngozi wandered until she came upon the sacred tree where the powerful deity, Okija, was believed to dwell. With no other refuge, Ngozi knelt before the ancient tree. "Okija," she cried, her voice trembling with desperation. "I offer my daughter Oma as your bride. Please protect her and save us from the world that has rejected us." The tree groaned in response, its twisted branches swaying as if to acknowledge her plea. Ngozi took this as a sign that her offering had been accepted. Years passed, and Oma grew into a beautiful young woman, dedicated to her role as Okija's bride. She lived in isolation near the sacred tree, tending to its grounds. One evening, while fetching water, she encountered Kwame, a hunter from the village. His eyes lingered on her with lustful intent. "You're too beautiful to be wed to a spirit," Kwame said arrogantly. "A real man should have you." Oma stepped back, her voice firm. "I belong to Okija." But Kwame didn't care. That night he followed her into the forest and violated her beneath the sacred tree, shattering the vow that Ngozi had made years ago. The next morning, Ihiala was thrown into turmoil. The crops had withered, the river had dried up, and a mysterious, deadly sickness spread through the village. Children cried in pain, elders collapsed, and the once prosperous community fell into despair. In panic, the villagers gathered. "We must have angered the gods," the elders said. They consulted the oracle, who confirmed their fears. Okija's wrath had been unleashed. Desperate, the villagers made offerings, animals, gold, anything they could, but nothing worked. The sickness worsened, and every attempt to remedy the curse failed. The village feared that doom was inevitable. One day, Mike, the son of the village's prime minister, approached the elders. Though he secretly practiced Christianity, he had hidden his faith because of his father's position in the traditional order. Seeing the village in ruins, Mike spoke up. "Our offerings have failed. Okija's power cannot be subdued with sacrifices. But there is another way," Mike said. "I know of a pastor, Pastor Peter, who serves a stronger God." The elders scoffed. "You dare suggest bringing a foreign faith into this sacred matter?" But with no other option, the prime minister, torn between tradition and his son's words, allowed Mike to bring Pastor Peter. When Pastor Peter arrived, the sky over Ihiala was thick with darkness. The villagers watched in tense silence as Mike led him to the sacred tree, where Oma lay weak, suffocated by Okija's wrath. Standing before the twisted, menacing tree, Pastor Peter declared, "This is not a battle of sacrifices. This is a spiritual war." As he began to pray, the ground trembled. His voice rang with authority. "In the name of the Almighty God, I command you, Okija, to release this village from your wrath." The tree groaned and split open, releasing a swirling, dark figure, Okija, enraged and vengeful. The villagers shrieked in terror as the deity's form twisted in fury, but Pastor Peter remained resolute. "By the power of Christ, you are defeated," he shouted. A beam of light pierced the clouds, striking Okija. The deity screamed.